Hello Game of Thrones freaks and geeks, and welcome to a brand new episode of The Word from Westeros, exclusively produced for AllGeekToMe.net. I'm Kait Calabrò, and this is my show. And sure, everyone's talking about that crazy epic battle that happened at the end of episode 4 of season 7, but what I really want to talk about is what the fuck is going on with Bran. But before all that, here is your water cooler recap of season 7, episode 4, The Spoils of War. So the saga of Will They or Won't They, Jon and Dany edition continues, where Jon tries to get Dany to agree to come over to his side, which he does, only if he bends the knee. And Jon won't bend the knee, so we're still where we are last episode, except for we saw some really cool cave drawings, and there was some like hardcore sexual tension, and Lord Onion totally wants them to get married and fall in love and have babies and rule the kingdom together. Like, no one wants Jon and Dany together more than Lord Davros, besides like us. And Dany's now seeking counsel from Jon because she's kind of realizing, after she learns what happened at Castle Rock and Highgarden, that she kind of needs allies. And sure, Dany also needs some help bringing it back in, because she just wants to fly those dragons everywhere and just set everything on fire. But she shouldn't. Or should she? Anyway, up in the north, Arya finally makes her way home to Winterfell, and now poor Sansa has to realize that her sister's a freaking killer and her brother is the Three-Eyed Raven, and no one really knows what that means. And now Arya has Littlefinger's dagger, and I'm pretty sure she was going to kill him with said dagger. So that's exciting in the weeks to come. Cersei is getting ready to pay back her debts to the bank guy, and the bank guy's like, oh, fine, well, if you give us our money back, then we'll back you more. Cool, whatever. But the big thing that happened in this episode, which was less than 60 minutes, it's probably the shortest episode that's going to be all season, is Dany didn't set fire to castles and innocent people, but what she did do was take her Dothraki and that damn dragon and scared the crap and burnt the shit out of a lot of Lannister soldiers and all of the loot that they got from Highgarden. But Jaime still put up quite a fight. And that's your recap. Okay. Okay, so everyone's talking about the great epic dragon loot train battle that had happened at the end of last week's episode, which was fucking awesome and also very nerve-wracking, because it is, as it's been mentioned in almost every article, and if you watch the inside the episode at the end, the first time two principal characters, I love when they say that, I just call them fucking main characters, but two principal characters were going off, going at it head in head, and it's a big deal in terms of story and production, but it's also a big deal for us viewers. Like, let's not take that away. Watching two, especially like Jaime and Dany. Jaime sure had a rough start, but we've all kind of grown to love Jaime, and then we all, of course, love the Mother of Dragons. And when we mean we, I'm like speaking the royal we. I'm not speaking for you, because I know some of you probably don't like either one. Anyway, but to watch it was very conflicting. I was screaming for Jaime to do something, and I was screaming for Dany to do something, and then watching Tyrion overwatch all of it on the hill, and like he was torn, and it was like Tyrion was us. It was weird, and I'm like, oh my god, this is what the rest of the show is going to be like for us, because everyone's coming together and everyone's fighting. But I'm not going to talk about that, because I want to talk about Bran Stark, or we're not supposed to call him Bran Stark anymore. He is not Bran Stark anymore. He is the Three-Eyed Raven forever and always. Which brings me to the point, there's a lot of Bran and Three-Eyed Raven theories going around right now. Because Bran's kind of, for a while, been the key, like he knows so much to what has happened in the past, and what could possibly be happening in the future. We know that in this coming up week's episode, Jon gets a message from Bran saying that he had a vision, so his visions are affecting what is happening in the future. So a lot of people are trying to figure out what Bran being the three-eyed raven really means. So there's theories that Bran is actually every Brandon Stark in history, and that leads into Brandon Stark helped build the wall, and so they're thinking that maybe there's a tie, they meaning like people on the internet, are thinking there's a tie there for when the White Walkers actually come to the wall. And then there is a theory that I'm going to interlock into my theory, which I think is just my theory, but I'm sure someone else has written about it, so I'm not, I don't know. That Bran has always been the three-eyed raven, and the old man three-eyed raven that we saw is really just old man Bran. Which kind of makes sense. I mean, it would just be like a continuous loop. And I believe I watched an interview somewhere with the actor that plays Bran, and he totally like believes that theory. So I think I've had this theory since we learned about Bran and this whole link to the three-eyed raven for a while. I'm not sure if I ever wrote about it or even mentioned it on the show. I don't know. Everything blends together at some point. But now, since Bran now fully being the three-eyed raven, and it's a little bit more of an important storyline, it's come into play a little bit more of like how I'm thinking the end game of Thrones will be. And it is kind of my worst fear for what the end of the show would be, is that, and it would be so fucked up, but it would be something that I think would totally be, I don't know, my worst case scenario, how the show will end, is Bran is foreseeing all of this. So it's not, I don't want to say it's a dream, but it's a vision, which is a fancier way of saying it's a dream. So when Bran is falling from the tower, and I always thought it was a little bit weird that how long the fall was and how long we watched Bran looking into the camera falling, that during that process he foresees all of this happening. And that he just rides it out. Or that when he is unconscious, I think the falling from the tower would be cooler if he sees it all at that time, but it could also be during, when he was unconscious, before he woke up, which he woke up, right after he was trying to be assassinated. So, I mean, yeah, I think Bran has always been the three-eyed raven, unfortunately, and I think that we all might be being played for fools. And I mean, if it is the vision scenario, part of me will want to set something on fire out of anger, and part of me is like, well, I mean, it doesn't necessarily change anything. I mean, all the events will kind of happen. I don't know. I think it just has to be probably something lame like that. Because, like, why are we putting so much pressure on Bran? But I guess we'll see. I don't know. There's only 3 fucking episodes left. And I'm getting depressed. And the thought of it being just a vision just is like really fucking with me. Alright, I guess we'll say, well, what the fuck are you, Bran? Someone tell me. Okay. Well, that about wraps it up for this episode of The Word from Westeros. Thank you so much for watching, and please make sure to subscribe to AllGeekToMeTV on YouTube so you never miss another episode of this show again. You can also head over to allgeektome.net immediately following this video, also the link is below, to read my full recap of Season 7, Episode 4, and make sure to follow me on Twitter at Kait Calabrò for up-to-the-minute Game of Thrones information. Game of Thrones airs Sundays at 9 p.m. on HBO, and remember, until next time, you either win or you die.